Once in a quiet village nestled between vast forests and rolling hills, there lived a blacksmith and his daughter. The blacksmith was known far and wide for his skill in forging tools and weapons of the highest quality, and though his work was revered, it was the daughter who truly possessed an extraordinary gift. She had inherited the magic of her ancestors, a power so ancient that even her father did not fully understand it. Every time her hands touched the metal, she could feel the flow of magic through the forge, a hidden energy that flowed from the earth itself. The daughter, whose name was Elira, spent her days beside her father, learning the art of the forge. She would gather the finest metals from the mountains and rivers, shaping them into forms her father guided her to create. But with every swing of the hammer there was something more, something that felt like the earth's pulse, the fire's song, and the wind's whispers. The moment her hands met the glowing iron, she could hear the rhythm of the universe, its delicate hum resonating through her fingertips. She was unaware that the magic in her hands was more than a gift. It was a legacy. The forges of her ancestors had shaped weapons of immense power, each infused with the essence of the world itself. And as Elira grew, so too did the magic within her. The sword she forged one fateful evening under the dim glow of the setting sun would soon change the fate of the world forever. One evening, after a long day of work, Elira was left alone in the forge while her father tended to a delivery. The fire crackled as she worked, shaping a piece of iron into the form of a blade. She felt the magic stirring within her as she worked, and this time it was different. The metal seemed to hum with life, responding to her touch in a way she had never felt before. As she worked, her movements became instinctual, as if something beyond her understanding guided her hands. She did not notice the air around her growing still, the wind ceasing to move, the shadows stretching longer than they should. It was as if the world itself held its breath, waiting. The blade she crafted was unlike any other she had ever made. It was sleek and powerful, its surface gleaming with an unnatural luster. The hilt was simple but strong, as though it had been designed to endure the harshest trials. But the moment Elira finished the blade, she felt a strange warmth spreading through her chest. A flicker of realization passed through her mind. But before she could fully comprehend it, a deep rumble echoed from beneath the earth. The forge trembled, the fire flickered, and a powerful surge of energy shot through the air. The blade shimmered with an ethereal glow, and as if on its own accord it leapt from her hands and plunged into the ground. A crack split the earth, and through it a whispering wind carried a voice, one that was both ancient and timeless. Elira stepped back, heart pounding, as the air grew heavy with the weight of destiny. She had unknowingly crafted the Sword of Destiny, a weapon forged to bring balance to a world on the brink of chaos. It was no ordinary sword, but one that would choose its wielder, the hero destined to wield its power and shape the fate of kingdoms. But Elira did not know this yet. Her life had always been simple, centered around the forge and her father's teachings. The world beyond the village seemed so far away, its problems distant and unrelated to her. But that night, something changed. The blade, now embedded in the earth, was calling her. Days passed, and Elira could not shake the feeling that something was amiss. The village, once peaceful, began to stir with unrest. Travelers brought rumors of dark forces stirring in distant lands. And strange things began to happen around her. Birds flew in patterns she had never seen, the sky darkened unnaturally at dusk, and animals seemed to avoid the forge, as though they could sense something ancient and powerful within it. One morning, a stranger arrived at the village. He was a tall man clad in worn armor with eyes that had seen too much. He sought the blacksmith, but when he met Elira, he paused. He had felt the power of the sword from miles away, and he knew that the time had come. The sword, the one forged by magic and destined to change the world, was ready to be claimed. But he did not know that Elira, the daughter of the blacksmith, was its true maker, nor that she had unknowingly unlocked its power. The stranger, sensing the weight of the moment, spoke of an ancient prophecy, a tale of a weapon that would be forged by a great magic and wielded by a hero who would rise when the world was at its darkest. He did not know that the blacksmith's daughter had created that weapon, but fate had brought him to her. The sword, as he learned, would choose its master, but it would also reveal a deep truth to the one who had forged it. That night, as the stranger made his camp by the forge, Elira could not sleep. She walked to the place where the sword lay, now glowing faintly in the darkness. She reached out and placed her hand on its hilt, feeling the power surge through her. It was as if the blade recognized her touch, as if it had always been meant for her, and in that moment she understood. The sword was not meant for a hero from distant lands, but for her. She was the one who had forged it, who had unknowingly shaped its destiny. The power of the sword was her own power, the magic she had inherited flowing through her blood, through her very being. The world had been waiting for her to awaken to the magic within her, to take up the blade and fulfill her destiny. Elira withdrew the sword from the earth, and the moment she did, the skies above the village seemed to open. A light, both bright and soft, bathed the land as though the heavens themselves were acknowledging her choice. With the sword in hand, Elira felt the weight of the world settle upon her shoulders, but she also felt a surge of strength, an understanding that the journey ahead was hers to undertake. The next morning the stranger saw the sword in Elira's hands, and he knew that it had chosen its true master. The village buzzed with the news, for word had spread quickly. The blacksmith's daughter was no longer just the daughter of a humble blacksmith. She was the one destined to shape the fate of the world. And so Elira embarked on a journey far beyond her village, her heart heavy with the knowledge of the great responsibility she now carried. She had forged the sword that would tip the balance of power, and with it she would face trials unlike any the world had ever known. But she was no longer the girl who had worked in the forge, unaware of the magic within her. She was the wielder of the sword of destiny, and her path, though uncertain, was clear. Through battles and darkness, through moments of doubt and fear, Elira would learn what it truly meant to be the blacksmith's daughter, and the hero the world had been waiting for. The sword would be her guide, but it was her courage, her heart, and her newfound understanding of the magic within her that would truly shape the world's fate. And thus the world's destiny was forged, not by the blade alone, but by the hands of the one who crafted it, and the heart that would carry it into the future.